The hall of navigation was vast, cold, and older than most species. At its heart, a luminous star map held every sanctioned lane in known space.
By order of the Concord, all human-built, faster-than-light engines are hereby banned.
The map obligingly highlighted the lanes humanity had been permitted to use, and then, one by one, turned them red.
You are condemning our outer colonies to starvation. Without transport, they'll run out of supplies within months.
The stability of the galactic community outweighs the comfort of one species. The order is final.
On the map, the ancient routes snapped like brittle wires. Entire sectors blinked out of human reach.
They think they're containing a threat. They're signing a death warrant.
This council is adjourned. Humanity will comply or face sanction.
Admiral Thomas Wren turned his back on the map and walked. The weight of humanity's future pressed into his spine.
They didn't ban the idea. They'll never ban that.
5 years after the ban, Earth's orbital docks were silent. Freighters rusted in vacuum, their hulls never to be loaded again. On a barren colony world, the last grain shipment had been rationed to dust. Children stared at empty bowls. No supply, ship would come. But beneath a university in old Chicago, a different kind of silence held. A lab crammed with equipment in desperation.
If the math is right, the lanes mean nothing. Space itself has seams, and I can tear one. Concord's map is a cage. They license every route, control every jump. But what if we didn't need their routes at all? Fold space directly. No lanes, no permissions. A door where no door was allowed.
On her monitors, equations spiraled into a geometry the Concorde had never considered. The prototype core pulsed with erratic cyan, a heartbeat too fast to trust.
They'll detect the energy. The moment we test this, they'll know. And they'll come. But if we don't test it, those colonies die waiting. There's no third option.
Margaret stared at the completed equations, her fingers trembling on the screen. No lane, no corridor. Just 2 points and a fold.
We have a window. The math holds. Space doesn't need their permission to be folded.
Within hours, a cylindrical probe took shape in the hidden dock. A simple hull wrapped around a frantic cyan heart.
No transmissions. No lane beacon pings. We launch, we fold, and we pray the universe doesn't notice.
The monitoring station flickered to life. A countdown appeared, stark and unforgiving.
If they detect this spike, it's over. But every day I wait, more die.
The drive core hummed. The lab went silent.
Launch.
The probe shot from the dock, a silent dart against the black. Its drive ring ignited with a cyan shriek no one could hear. Then, in the lab, space twitched, a fold, not a jump. The reading spiked once, sharp as a scream. Then, silence. The probe's telemetry trickled in. A new star field, untouched by any lane.
It reached Proxima. No corridor, no beacon, just space unfolded.
In the lab, relief broke loose. For a moment, the impossible held, but light years away, on a silent Concorde way station, celebration was nowhere. A technician stared at the lane monitor. A single crimson dot blinked where no sanctioned lane existed. The anomaly triggered a cascade. Alarms screamed, and the map flagged the incursion directly to the council.
An unsanctioned jump. No registered lane. This cannot be a malfunction.
Envoy Vor called up the raw data and beheld the impossible. A fold that bypassed the lanes entirely.
Find the source. If someone has built a door where no door was allowed, I want to know who.
The Concorde's map had been pierced, and the hunt had begun. Less than a cycle later, the Concorde summoned Admiral Thomas Wren back to the chamber he'd left 5 years before.
A human signature, matching no sanctioned engine, tore a hole in our map. Explain this, Admiral.
That spike is ours. And I knew nothing. Now I have to lie to keep us alive.
Your species was forbidden engines. Yet here's a breach, fresh and unmistakable. Do you deny it?
I deny any official knowledge. If a rogue element exists, we will investigate as ordered.
Investigate quickly, Admiral. The Concord will be watching. Any further anomaly will be treated as an act of aggression.
The council session ended in ice. Thomas walked out with a fist clenched behind his back. Back in his office, Thomas opened a secure channel. Margaret's face appeared, etched with exhaustion and something else, hope.
Yes, it was my probe. And it worked. Now we need to go bigger. A manned ship, or this buys us nothing.
Thomas stared at the pulsing core data on his pad. The clock was ticking faster now, and the only path forward went through that light. Within hours, the test ship Theory of Mind was hidden in the black, its drive ring casting faint cyan shadows.
I've read the data. The fold is stable. I am ready to fly it.
No beacon. No lane. Just the jump. Are you prepared for what happens if we're detected?
I've been prepared since the day they banned our engines.
She climbed into the cockpit, the hatch sealing behind her with a soft hiss. On the screens back at the lab, Thomas and Margaret watched the ship drift away from the dock, silent and alone.
If this works, we'll have a way out. If it doesn't...
The Theory of Mind reached the jump point. Telemetry held steady. The core pulsed, waiting. Every screen in the lab showed the same thing. A ship at the edge of everything, ready to tear a hole. And for a single, impossible second, the entire species held its breath. Kira's hand pushed the throttle, and the Theory of Mind tore a seam in the fabric of space.
No lane, no beacon, just the math.
The ship vanished in a silent blast of cyan, leaving a crack that bled light across the lane grid. A heartbeat later, the Theory of Mind materialized above a lush, green world, uncharted, unreachable by any sanctioned lane.
I am here. A world no human name has ever touched.
But at Concord monitoring stations, jubilation turned to panic. The map tore like thin fabric.
They've crossed again with a full ship. This is not a test. This is deliberate.
The sector where the ship had appeared lost all lane connectivity. 2 stations went dark immediately.
Alert the fleet. We will not let this stand. The map will be restored, or there will be no map.
Far across the black, humanity's first crude fold had succeeded, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the Concord's highest chamber, the vote was swift and unanimous. Humanity would be pacified.
We will not chase shadows. We will demonstrate that the map is not a suggestion.
The ultimatum crackled across every channel. Surrender Dr. Margaret Reed and the fold drive schematics, or watch your world burn.
They want a surrender. But if we give them Margaret, we give them everything.
I always knew this could be a one-way trip, but we didn't build the drive for just us.
The Concord fleet broke orbit, a dark wave of steel and dread, setting course for Earth.
They'll be here in 17 hours. We can't outfight a fleet that size, but maybe we don't need to.
17 hours. Then the galaxy will remember why no one defies the Concord.
17 hours. Enough time to change everything or end it.
The largest fleet in Concord history was bearing down on a single planet, and humanity had barely a watch to decide its fate. In a secure bunker beneath the city, Admiral Thomas and his staff faced the impossible choice.
We have 17 hours. The fleet is unstoppable conventionally, but we have one card left. We could retrofit our few ships with fold drives and launch a deep strike. Surprise attack.
That's what they expect. A desperate stab. But the map is their real power, not the fleet. If every caged species could fold, there would be no map. The Concord dissolves overnight.
You're asking us to give away our only advantage. If we broadcast the drive, we lose it too.
It's the only way to end this. Not a battle, but a jailbreak for every world they've locked up.
A jailbreak. She's not talking about winning. She's talking about making winning meaningless.
The room was silent, the weight of the idea pressing harder than any fleet.
17 hours. And the only way forward is to trust everyone else.
In his quarters, Thomas stared at a single image, a child's empty bowl on a dying colony world.
I've spent a career fighting. But this war won't be won with guns. The map is just a list of permissions. Time to revoke them all. Margaret, you convinced me. Do it. Let's break the map.
I'll start the package. Every species will receive the key.
In the lab, Margaret's team began encrypting the schematics for mass broadcast.
Compress it. Every frequency. We want every caged world to hear this.
The drive core hummed, but this time, its secret was being poured into light.
If we fail, there won't be a second chance. But if we succeed, there won't need to be.
17 hours. And the countdown to liberation had begun. In a small studio, Margaret sat before the camera. Thomas behind her. The message to the galaxy was ready.
To every species, the Concord has told where they may go. We offer you a key. The Fold Drive, free.
Thomas nodded, and the transmission went live. Across the system, hidden relays flared to life.
Good. Now let's see if they can block this.
But the Concord was ready. Jamming signals screamed across every band, trying to bury the message in noise.
They can jam Earth's network, but the deep space relay is already bouncing this off a dozen dead satellites.
The antenna array on Luna ignited. A beam of cyan energy stabbing into the void, carrying humanity's gift.
Come on, get through.
On the displays, the broadcast wavefront flickered and warped as jamming intensified. For a long moment, the signal wavered on the edge of static. Then, it lunged forward, swallowed by the black. The broadcast punched through, on the bridge of a battered freighter. A reptilian pilot froze, then began typing new coordinates. In a hidden dock, workers of a subjugated species feverishly assembled a crude fold drive from the open-source plans, the first independent fold. The ship lifted, space warped, and it vanished in a cyan streak. No lane, no permission.
It's working. They're actually using it.
The map is breaking. Faster than I ever let myself hope.
On Concord stations, alarms shrieked. The map lit up with dozens of new, unsanctioned jumps, each tearing the grid further. Sector after sector lost connectivity. Way stations that had policed traffic for centuries began powering down.
We didn't fire a shot. We just handed them the keys.
In a hidden hangar, a newly freed species cheered as their first fold ship lifted towards the stars. The jailbreak had begun, and the map that had caged them for millennia was tearing itself apart. Across the Concord, way stations that had controlled traffic for millennia flickered and went dark, their purpose erased. Lane beacons shut down one by one, the network unraveling faster than any protocol could contain. Aboard the flagship, Envoy Vor stared at the chaos unfolding on his command displays.
What do you mean we can't navigate? The lanes are still there.
His technician brought up the live map. It was shattering like glass. Entire sectors lost.
The map was our power. Now it's a cage of broken light.
The fleet's formation began to drift. Without the lane grid, every ship was blind. Supply lines snapped. The Great Armada was decoupled from its own logistics.
We have enough momentum. Press forward. Earth is still there.
But the grid was dead. The fleet crawled into the void, no longer sure of its way. No longer sure of its way. Aboard the Concord flagship, the command deck descended into confusion. Officers shouted over one another as the lane grid disintegrated.
Use emergency charts. Earth is 7 hours ahead. We will not break formation.
On Earth, Thomas watched the fleet's telemetry scatter. Ships were trying blind jumps, but without the map, they were lost. One Concord vessel, its captain unwilling to drift, broke silence. It broadcast a surrender, changing course away from the Armada. Four stared at the defection signal, the first crack in the once unshakable Concord machine.
They're floundering. Keep the broadcast going. Push it to every corner.
The fleet's supply lines snapped. Ships that had once projected order now drifted like derelicts.
This is not a battle I can win with warships. I am fighting an idea.
The Concord Armada, once a hammer poised over Earth, slowed and stalled, a phantom of its former menace. Earth was safe, not because a fleet had been destroyed, but because the very concept of a controlled route had ceased to exist. In the Hall of Navigation, the ancient star map gave one final pulse, then cracked into a million glittering shards. The speaker watched as the grid that had defined civilization dissolved into meaningless light.
It was all we were. Now there is only silence.
Across every station, The lane overlay vanished, leaving only the raw, untamed starfield. On Earth, Thomas stared at the empty tactical display, a breath caught in his throat.
Now they'll see. It was never about the ships. It was always about the map.
The Concorde's monopoly had been glued to that grid, and now the glue was vapor. All that remained was space, directionless, unowned, open to anyone with a fold drive.
This is not a defeat. This is extinction. And there is no map to lead us back.
The map was dead. The Concorde was still breathing, but its reason to exist had just evaporated. Aboard his crippled flagship, Envoy Vor opened a direct channel. The hologram flickered to life, Thomas on one side, Vor on the other.
You had the ultimate weapon. With your drive, you could have struck anywhere. Why didn't you?
Thomas regarded the Envoy with a weariness born of decades of strife.
Because we didn't build the drive to conquer. We built it to move.
You could have had everything, and you gave it away.
Vor's hologram trembled, a mirror of his crumbling certainty.
The map was your cage, not ours. We never needed to own it, only to escape it.
A long pause stretched between the two, the silence of a doctrine unraveling.
You banned the engine. You never thought to ban the idea.
The line hung in the void like a verdict, and Vor had no answer. In the weeks after the map fell, the Concorde of Worlds dissolved like a page dropped in water. Member species withdrew one by one, their ambassadors walking out without a backward glance. The fleet disbanded, its mighty warships becoming ghost hulls, no command to obey. On a newly freed world, a child drew a ship leaving a curved light streak. No lanes, no walls. Margaret watched the feed from a dozen worlds, her expression something close to peace.
We didn't give them a weapon. We gave them a choice. That's the difference.
The galaxy didn't fall into utopia. It stumbled into a chaotic, free, beautiful uncertainty, and humanity, for the first time in centuries, was just another species among the stars. Not a threat, not a victim.
We didn't need to win. We just needed to open the door.
Thomas closed his eyes, and for the first time in 50 years, his jaw unclenched, and so Thomas Wren's words traveled not as a weapon, but as a key. The schematics came with a single sentence that would outlast every empire. You banned the engine. You never thought to ban the idea. Across worlds. That phrase appeared on holoboards, graffiti, and schoolroom walls. A young alien, no older than the ban itself, recited it in a classroom. The room fell silent. The map broke because it was never the space that was caged. It was the permission. Lanes were a story told by the Concorde to make the galaxy seem small. Humanity simply stopped believing, and so the galaxy expanded, not in territory, but in possibility. Thomas watched the new constellations form, a soft smile on his face. There would be struggles. There would be chaos. But no one would ever again own the roads between the stars, because an idea, once freed, cannot be banned. Far from the old lanes, a small ship of a species no one had ever named sat in the silence. A child pressed against the viewport, eyes full of a darkness that no longer had walls. The parent touched a single icon on the console, and the drive began to hum, a soft, cyan glow. There was no map to check, no permission to ask. Only the bending of space. The stars stretched, then folded. The ship was gone, leaving only a fading cyan streak. Inside, the child laughed. No warning, no fear. Just the uncontainable joy of moving without chains. Outside, there were no lanes. Only the raw, open universe. And in that moment, a family became a declaration. Freedom was not a gift. It was a choice they had been given the key to make. No fanfare. No permission, just a family, a ship, and the will to go. The last map had shattered months ago. What remained was simply everywhere. Across the galaxy, species once caged began to draw new maps, not of control but of community. The old lane grid faded into a ghost, a relic of a cautious, fearful age. Children learned to navigate by the stars alone, not by commanded corridors. Trade lines emerged not from treaties, but from trust, linking worlds in constellations of choice. The Concorde's watchtowers became museums, their silent halls echoing with the past. And somewhere, a new atlas was being written, one without borders, without permissions. It was messy, it was chaotic, it was free. Then across the black, one last fold streak arced, a final signature of the day. The map broke, the screen faded to black, leaving only the afterglow of an idea that could never be caged. And the stars, once again, belonged to everyone. In the end, the council banned an engine, a machine of steel and fire. But they never understood that travel isn't about engines. It's about the will to go, the quiet certainty that you belong among the stars, and that can't be legislated away. No council can cage it. The map was a permission slip. Humanity tore it up, then handed out blank paper to every world they'd locked down. On one such world, a child's hand moves across a glowing tablet. She draws a ship with a curving light. No lanes, no barriers, just a line of freedom arcing toward the distant suns. A new map, made of hope. The council banned the engine. The galaxy banned the chains. From the farthest edge, the galaxy bloomed with new light, streaks of cyan, where only darkness had been permitted. Earth, once a caged world at the edge of extinction, now sat at the heart of 1,000 roads. The old map was a memory. The new one was being written every second, in every language, by every species. No council could chart it. No fleet could police it. The stars were finally free, and so, the galaxy turned a page, not with a war, not with a treaty, but with an idea that could not be banned, because it lived in every mind that ever looked up and wondered. The council banned human engines, so Earth built a drive that broke their maps, a gift given freely to every caged world. The map is gone. The will remains.